Good morning to everyone. I am Niveta from Konganadu College of Engineering and Technology. Now we are going to see the topic about levels of testing in software testing subject. Okay. The need of levels of testing. There will be 3 to 4 levels in a testing strategies. First one is unit test. Second one is integration test. Third one is system test and some type of acceptance test. At the system level, we have B level. A performance, usability, reliability, and other quality related requirements are performed. Next, the steps in levels. Okay, first one is unit test. In the unit test means individual components should be tested. Okay, next one is integration test. The group of elements or components in a groups that unit test is completed after we performing the integration test. Okay, each and every individual component grouped into a main component that will perform the integration test. Then third one is a system test. The whole system should be tested. After the integration test, we perform the system test. Finally, we are doing the acceptance test. Acceptance test means system as a whole which perform the acceptance. That means acceptance means the customer requirements fully satisfied. That means acceptance. Okay, these are the levels used in a software testing. First one is unit test, second one is integration test, third one is system test, and finally acceptance test. The approach used to design and develop impact on testers plan and design suitable test. There are two major approaches to system development. The first one is a bottom up and then top down approach. These main two approaches are used to system development. The unit is the smallest possible testable software component. Unit is the smallest possible testable software component. It can be characterized in several ways. For example, a unit in a typical procedure-oriented software system. It performs a single cohesive function. It can be compiled separately. Is a task in a work breakdown structure, and that breakdown structure means from the manager's point of view. Okay, it contains code that can fit on a single page or screen. A unit test is performed. A unit is the smallest possible testable software component. A unit is traditionally viewed as a function or procedural implemented in a procedural, that means imperative programming language. A unit may also a small sized COTS, that means a commercial off the shelf component purchased from an outside vendor. Some components suitable for the unit test. These are the components. First one is procedure and functions. Second, classes or objects and methods. Then procedure sized reusable components, that is small sized codes. That means component or components from an in-house reuse library. Unit test planning. A general unit test plan should be prepared and component of the master tester plan. Okay, documents that provide input for the unit test plan or the project plan, as well the requirements, specification, and design documents that describes the target units. Components of unit test plan are described in detail IEEE standard for software unit test. Excellent guide for the test planner. In each phase, a set of activities based on IEEE unit standard. Each and every testing techniques we are based on the IEEE unit test standard technologies. In the phase 1, describe the unit test approach and risk. In this phase, unit testing planning, the general approach to unit testing is outlined. The tester planner. First one is identifies the tester risk. What are all the risks in the product? Means our first step is identify the test risk. Second one describes the techniques for designing the test cases for the units. Second one is describes techniques. What are the we are identify the test risk in the first step. Second, those identified test risks are described. Okay, second step is describe techniques for designing the test cases. for the units. Third one is describes the techniques for data validation and recording of the test results. Each and every step we are using the testing methodology means each and every step or logged. Logged means it's a recording of the test results. And the third one is that describes techniques for the data validation and recording of a test results. And then fourth one is describes the requirements for test harness and other software that interfaces with the units to be tested. For example, if any special objects needed for testing object-oriented units. During this phase, the planner also identifies completeness requirement, what will be covered by the unit test and what degree. And the degree means states, functionality, control, and data flow patterns. A planner also identifies the termination condition for the unit test. This includes coverage requirements and special cases. Special cases may result in the abnormal termination of unit test. Example is a major design flaw. Strategies for handling these special cases need to be documented. Uh, each and every modules, each and every step need to be documented. Finally, the planner estimates resources need for unit test, such as hardware, software, and staff, and develops a tentative schedule under the constraints identified at the time. Second phase is identify the unit features to be tested. This phase requires the information from the unit specification and detailed design description. The planner determines which features of each unit will be tested. For example, functions, performance requirements, states and state transition, control structures, messages, and data flow patterns. If some feature will not be covered by the test, they should be mentioned and the risk of not testing them be accessed. Input or output characteristics associated with each unit should also be identified, such as variables with an allowed ranges of values and performance at a certain level. Third phase is add levels of detail to plan. In this phase, planner refines the plan as produced in the previous two phases. That means phase one and phase two. The planner adds a new details to approach resource and scheduling portions of the unit test plan. As an example, existing test cases that can be reused for this project can be identified in this phase. Unit availability and integration scheduling information should be included in the revised version of the test plan. Designing the unit test. A part of the preparation work for unit test involves unit test design. It's important to specify test cases, test procedures. Test cases means including input data and expected output for each test case, and test procedure means steps required to run the test. Birard has described the test case specification notation. He arranges the components of the test case into a semantic network with pods, object ID, test case ID, purpose, and list of test case steps. Each of these items has component pods. In this test design specification, Birard also includes list of relevant states, messages. That messages are calls to methods, exceptions, and interrupts. Test case design at the unit level based on the black and white box test design strategies. Where the black box test means that we do not have an internal structure of the program or any other product. Considering the relatively small size of a unit, it makes sense to focus on white box test design for procedure or functions and the methods in a class. This approach gives the tester the opportunity to exercise logic structures and or data flow sequence or to use mutation analysis. Some black box testing is also done at a unit level. However, the bulk of black box testing is usually done at the integration and system level and beyond. The test harness is automated test framework is a collection of software and test data configured to test program unit by running it under various conditions and monitoring its behavior and outputs.